Okay, so this is going to be a bit of a quicker video than what you usually get from me for Thursdays, but that's because this is really more the leftover thoughts that I've had so far regarding the villain of the upcoming Steven Universe movie, which isn't too far off at this point. Honestly, I'm super excited about it, and I'm having trouble not thinking about it literally all the time. And I've touched on a couple of these things elsewhere, but I figured I might as well compile them into a comprehensive video that you guys can watch and enjoy. And I'm actually coming back to re-record a little bit of this opening pretty close to the end of the production cycle of this video, to point out that I'm not making this video in response to any other videos that have been popping up on YouTube lately. I'm not like trying to debunk anybody else's theories or anything, because I have seen other people posting theory videos regarding whether or not the movie villain is going to turn out to be any of the things that I'm going to, at the end of the day, try to debunk in this one. Primarily, I'm going to be talking about exactly what the title of this video suggests I'm going to be talking about. But first, I want to get a couple other ones out of the way, a couple of minor ones. First of all, a lot of people have been asking if the movie villain could be a new diamond, either a pink diamond or a red diamond. And I really don't like the first one. Like, I don't hate any theory, don't get me wrong, but I really don't like that one for the simple reason that we've seen a pink diamond. We know what one looks like. There's no reason to assume that another pink diamond would look so radically different or have such a radically different set of powers. And as for whether or not she could be a red diamond, I really don't think so. Like, this is definitely more likely, though she isn't really red enough, I don't think. Still, stylistic choices do exist. But her being a red diamond would bring up the same issue that I mentioned in a recent video regarding whether or not the giant injector that she's brought with her to Earth is intending to create a pink diamond. Like a new pink diamond, which might be a more traditional diamond. We know now that the diamonds were created from white diamond, from something that White Diamond cast off of herself. Which means that if this villain is a red diamond, then either she's an ancient red diamond that nobody knew about, or she's a new red diamond recently created by White Diamond, and White is supposed to be, if not redeemed, then well on the course of her redemption arc, so I doubt that she would be creating any new villains for Steven to fight at this point. It just doesn't seem very likely to me. What I find far more interesting, and far more potentially likely, all things considered, is the possibility that this villain is a rose quartz. And by rose quartz, I mean a proper rose quartz. The theory goes that when Pink Diamond assumed a quartz-like form, she only called herself rose quartz because she couldn't change her coloring to match the other quartz gems around her. She needed to call herself something which sounded believably like a pink quartz gem. And voila, the rose quartz alter ego was born. That a real rose quartz could, in theory, look like anything. And that this new gem villain could either be a real rose quartz trying to reestablish Pink Diamond's court, a real rose quartz who is angry that things have changed, as I've theorized will be the villain's motivations in past videos, or she could be the villain of this movie for reasons as simple as wanting to get revenge for Pink Diamond sullying the name of her gem type, or something like that. It doesn't really matter. There's plenty of potential motivations that an actual rose quartz could have to become the villain of the story. And this would have interesting thematic impacts as well. Think about it. If this gem shows up and introduces herself as rose quartz, how impactful that could be to the characters. It would explain her pink coloration, like maybe rose quartz really is a quartz gem that was in Pink Diamond's court, and she was just keeping them somewhere else besides Earth during that early period of her colonization of the planet, and would even fit with her trying to create a new, more compliant, more traditional Pink Diamond, which is obviously a theory I like a lot because I've mentioned it twice now in this video. As regardless of when exactly this particular gem was created, the fact that she is a pink gem means that she was a Pink Diamond gem one way or another. It would also be a big deal to fans to finally get to see what an actual rose quartz looks like and what her powers would be. But I still have a lot of problems with this potential theory being the case. Primarily aesthetic things. Like, look at all the past quartz gems that we've seen. They all have a very specific body type to them. Now, granted, while most of them seem to have long, wild hair, that's not universally true, and there can be quartz gems that are smaller or thinner than the norm, but the average seems to be a very jasper-like, rose quartz-like, amethyst if she was taller, like body type. Even then, when you see a thinner quartz gem, for example, like skinny jasper, the body proportions are basically the same. They're just squished in one direction or another. Not only that, but even when you see a quartz with hair that isn't long and wild, like the average quartz, it still looks like there's enough hair there to get that style if you really want to, like is the case with Holly, or it's not actually a quartz's hair, like is the case with Rose. The movie villain, whoever she ends up turning out to be, has a radically different body type, different powers than we have seen most quartz typically display. She doesn't seem to have the right hairstyle or enough hair to coax her hair into the right style should she want to. And that's not even mentioning that the shape of her gemstone doesn't resemble any quartz that we've ever seen. Quartz gems are usually round. But that one's not as much of an issue, as there have been exceptions, Jasper being, I think, the most prominent one. But speaking of gemstones, there's also the matter of all of those rose quartz gemstones that we saw in Pink Diamond's chamber back on the zoo. Those gemstones all looked like, at least what we assumed Rose's gem looked like at the time. They did not look heart-shaped. They didn't even look like they were the same color as this villain's gemstone. Now, there is the possibility, of course, that none of those rose quartz gemstones are real. I've talked about this in another video. It's possible that Pink Diamond created those and lied to the other diamonds, claiming that rose quartz gems existed when they didn't, to cover up the fact that her alter ego, Rose Quartz, seemingly came out of nowhere. And the other diamonds just didn't care to check the facts because they trusted her that much. On one hand, if that's the case, if all of those rose quartz gemstones aren't real, then it doesn't really matter what color they are or what shape they are. A real rose quartz could look completely different, yet again. But those gemstones being fake only works if Rose claimed to have created the entire line of rose quartz on Earth, where the other diamonds weren't around all the time. So unless the movie villain is an Earth gem, and I highly doubt that's the case, if she is a rose quartz, then she's a rose quartz that was made before Pink Diamond came and colonized the Earth, in which case the other diamonds would undoubtedly know what a rose quartz looks like, and they wouldn't have been fooled by fake rose quartz gemstones that seem to look like Rose's gemstone. So regardless of how you look at it, I think those bubbled rose quartz or fake rose quartz, whatever they turn out to be, gemstones back on the zoo do debunk the idea that the movie gem could be a rose quartz. Unless she's just an exceptionally unique rose quartz with a very unusual gemstone shape and an even more unusual, and I would say wholly atypical body type and power set for a quartz gem. I don't think this character can be a rose quartz and still fit within the established lore of the series. Which means that, sadly, we're not going to get any of that thematic stuff that I mentioned earlier, but then again, really, what kind of impact would her being a real rose quartz have actually had on the characters if they couldn't tell from a glance that she was a rose quartz, if she didn't look like Rose? Her being a rose quartz in and of itself wouldn't make her presence and her antagonism towards them meaningful. If she showed up looking like Rose, though, and having all of the powers of a quartz that Rose pretended to have, that's what would have had an impact on the characters, not specifically her gem type or her name. There really wouldn't be any reason to make her a rose quartz except for the reveal of who she is, to be shocking to the audience. And the crew just doesn't really seem to care about that kind of thing. Like, they want to give us big dynamic moments, but they've made entire episodes about how they're not gonna insert more twists in the show just for the sake of having more twists. That's what Lion 4 was literally all about. Or at least that's one of the things that you can interpret Lion 4 as being all about anyway. So, end of the day, maybe I'm wrong about who I think this gem is. See the video that I've included in the little top left corner thingy, assuming that I remember to link it there if you want to know who exactly I do think this gem could be. But even if I turn out to be completely wrong about that, I do think I'm right in saying that she's not a diamond and that she's not a rose quartz. Like, I think both are interesting ideas for sure, but end of the day, do you really want the show to backstep like that and just rehash old characters and lore, or do you want it to move forward and give us somebody completely different? Show us a completely different gem type than we've ever seen, or thought we've seen before. And because I'd prefer the latter, really. As per usual, though, guys, I'd like to know, what do you think of any of the ideas that I put forth in this video? Do you think I'm right? Do you think I'm wrong? I know I've asked this before, but who do you think this villain character could be? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord, link in the description. But either way, this has been AJ22, and I will talk to you guys later.